Is it red looking?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, this is Rob Lenfesti, and this is my intro to the Wim Hof method. And basically what I'm going to share with you is the main breathwork practice that will prepare us for the cold exposure, and will help provide the bulk of the benefits that can be derived from the Wim Hof method. So, first and foremost, the key to this method is just to breathe. If all the rest of the instruction was overwhelming, and it's like take a deep breath and expand your lungs in all directions and this and that, it doesn't matter. First and foremost, just breathe. Just do the breathwork practice. Just do it every day, preferably in the morning, and it will change your life. And part of the beauty in it is its simplicity. So the way it works is we take a deep inhale, full breath in, and we relax on the exhale. And we inhale and we relax. We're not trying to push all the air out of our lungs. We're just trying to relax because we actually want to keep a little bit of that CO2 in our bloodstream. The CO2 is what actually helps our blood vessels to open. It's the vasodilator in the breathing process. The oxygen actually is the vasoconstrictor. It actually closes down the circulation. So you need CO2 in order to stimulate circulation. So we breathe in, we relax on the exhale, and what we do is we do about 30 of these breaths. Eventually we can do more, but at first just 30. And at about the 30th breath, when we exhale to relax, we hold and we retain that exhale. And while we're holding that and that exhale, we just either hold a nice peaceful meditative state, or what I like to do is I like to actually just scan my body for anywhere that I'm holding on to tension, any muscle that might not be tense. After doing 30 breaths, my awareness of what's happening inside my body has increased. And so it's fun to actually scan the body, see where there might be tension that you weren't aware of before, and relax it. And you want to hold that exhale as long as you can, or as long as you feel comfortable doing so, until you feel that instinct that you need to take that inhale. And then you inhale and you hold it at the top of the breath. And that inhale, you don't need to necessarily hold to its maximum to the point where you have to breathe again. But we want to hold it for no less than 10-15 seconds. More is preferable. But the idea there is we're training our body by taking the 30 breaths. You decrease the amount of oxygen in your bloodstream like significantly before the point where you feel like you need to take another breath again. So normally, if you were just to hold your breath, you would feel like you need to take a breath well before you reached like critically low oxygen levels in your bloodstream. By doing the breath retention, you're able to hold that exhale far longer into the red zone before the instinct to inhale comes again. And that's where we start training our circulatory system and our cardiopulmonary system to function with less oxygen and higher CO2, and with higher CO2 and with higher amounts of oxygen and less CO2. And we start to really build kind of more of a exercise, like a metabolism for it. So what we will do is we will do 3 rounds of 30 breaths. And each time, the amount of time that you're able to actually retain the breath will probably increase. And once again, if this is all too much information, the most beautiful and simple part of this is that if you just breathe and you just do the breath by itself with no other qualifiers, you will gain an immeasurable benefit that includes increased stamina, increased mental clarity and peace throughout the day. It decreases the number of breaths you take per minute. If you do this practice in the morning, for the rest of the day, you will take less breaths, but you will get more oxygen and you'll get better breath from it. So your body's doing less work and getting more energy from it. And for me, I mean, it feels like it resets all my organs, it resets everything in my body. And by doing this breath work and by doing the mindfulness practice during the retentions, it helps us when we do go out into the cold and we're working with the cold. It helps us to create the mental state where we can observe the sensation of cold and not judge it as a negative experience, but actually visualize it before we even go out there and say, okay, I'm going to feel this sensation of cold all over my body and I'm going to love it and enjoy it. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to invigorate my immune system. It's going to help my metabolism and it's going to create more vitality in my life. When I go out into the cold with that mentality, I stay much warmer. And it's been proven now that by creating the focus and the mental clarity, that's a big part of this practice. Wim will say himself, it's like, if he has, he's built his physiology to withstand the cold, but he says if I didn't have the focus and the mental part of it as well, that he says, he would get cold the same as anyone else in the same situations. So the breath work is helping us to gain more conscious awareness of what's going on inside our body, and it's also creating the mental state that will allow us to be in the cold, and rather than freak out and tense up and have different kinds of experiences like that, to relax, to settle in, to breathe, and to find our inner fire, as it is said. So, on that note, let's begin some breath work.
Okay.
So, nice big deep inhale in, and relax down. Big inhale in, and relax out. So keep that up. I like to really make sure that I'm pushing the breath. Keep it going. Pushing the breath down into my abdomen so that I'm fully expanding my lungs like a balloon to the sides and out. Down, pushing my diaphragm down and pushing up through my sternum and up into my chest, up into my heart and into my spine. Really filling up my lungs with each breath. Yeah. Through the nose or through the mouth. Whatever feels most comfortable. About 6 more breaths. Nice deep inhales. Relax the body on the exhales. Nice inhale and relax. And hold the exhale. And hold the exhale. And you can just let it be nice and clear. Or you can use this opportunity to scan the body. Can you feel an increase in your internal awareness? So when you have to inhale, hold that inhale. Feel how the internal experience of your body has changed while you're holding an inhale. See if you can relax into this. Relaxing all the organs and everything around the full lungs. Do you feel the rush of endorphins? There's a rush or a high that comes with the retention.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it again.
Yes, and so what happens is this, what this does is it actually releases adrenaline and endorphins into the body, into the bloodstream, into the brain. And what this does is eventually, what you do, especially when you start mixing it with the cold, you start gaining control over that release of the endorphins, of the adrenaline, of these different hormones in your body. You gain control over their release in a way where you can give yourself a little bit of adrenaline as you need it. You know, you can help.
Through, like, while you're holding your breath or after?
So, through the vagal nerve, which controls our autonomic nervous system, you know, it's always been thought that everything that happens in that part of our nervous system is separated from our conscious control. And what we've now proven, what Wim Hof has proven through the science, through what he's done, is that by doing the breath, working with the cold, and creating this mental state where you're really, you know, becoming more aware of the internal physiology of your body, you can gain control of your autonomic nervous system. And it's a personal sensory experience, but by doing this work, you should feel, even in one round of breath, a greater sense of awareness of what's going on in your body. Especially when those endorphins rush, like it increases that awareness, that tactile sensitivity. And so eventually when you're sitting in the cold and it's getting intense, you can trigger the release of what you need in order to build that inner fire and keep your vitality and really keep your mind where it needs to be, and your body will follow. You know, your body, you learn how to create the warmth you need. You learn how to regulate your heart rate and your blood pressure. It's absolutely incredible. It seems magical, and yet now there are thousands and thousands of people who are doing this method every day and finding this natural empowerment in their lives. So let's do some more breath.
Okay.
Nice big inhale. And hold the exhale. And so usually we go, the way to do this practice, like right now I'm teaching you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the way is like, as soon as you exhale from that first round, you immediately start the breathing of the second round. As soon as you
like,
exhale,
right now.
we would go into the next round of breath.
Okay. Are we?
If you want to.
Okay.
You're welcome to. One thing I wanted to make a note, that you when you do these and you start getting into it, there's a chance that you'll go into like what could be deemed as like a DMT experience. Very possible. Happens. You can get into that. You can give yourself a DMT experience this way. It is what is done in this way. But what will happen is people will like pass out a little bit. It's like during the breath retention. So you want to make sure that you're in a place that's safe. Like right now, if you were to fall over, you're on carpet, you're going to be fine. You don't want to still be standing, or you don't want to be somewhere where you don't feel safe. So you laying down or sitting, or at least being somewhere where you're secure is good. You also don't want to practice these retentions in water, because if you were to pass out while you're even in shallow water, even if you're in just like a little tub, there is the potential of drowning from that. So a lot of people think it's like it's very similar to like free diving breath, but it's not. So that's a really important piece.
So I had a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
The rhythm of the breath, like what I'm noticing is that it's not about taking like as long of a breath while you're doing the faster breathing. It's more about the rhythm. Is that right? I
like keeping the consistency. It does feel good because it's almost like pumping a billows. Like I feel...
Yeah, it feels like a pumping, for sure. And so you're breathing in as much as you can, but it's more about I feel drawn at moments to slow down.
Yes. And here's the beauty of it. Yes.
Me, and that's just
honestly,
my pumping timing.
Most of the people that I work with are drawn and more attracted to the... And honestly, like I go back and forth. Sometimes I want that fire,
like vigor,
that vigor of these faster breaths.
And I could see that for sure.
And almost as often, or if not more often, I'm drawn to...
Okay. Because, I find it like we're supposed to be relaxing on the exhale, but I find that I can only relax so much if I'm like more focused in this rhythm.
And that's why Wim, I think, is so brilliant in the fact that he's so adamant about the fact. It's even actually in the inner circle. It's funny, like the actual motto of the company is "Breathe, motherfuckers." And the simple truth of that is
to breathe.
Don't think. Don't overthink this process. Just breathe. However it feels right to you, because ultimately what this is about is that internal awareness, that internal control. So ultimately you should be following your internal guidance. You know, once you understand the basic premise of what's happening in your body,
right,
why it works and how it works, like the O2 saturation, you know, increasing, and then
and so you get that whether you're going fast or slow.
Yes.
You're getting saturated, and you take these deep breaths.
Yes.
And then you release it, and you hold that for as long as you can before you're in pain, or
as long as you feel like it. As long as you feel like it.
Expand. Okay.
It's going to expand over time if you keep doing it. The idea in this whole practice is it's about empowerment, and it's about
listening,
joy, and enjoyment. I mean, if you do a practice that you push yourself in a way that makes you miserable, or that you're pushing yourself to uncomfort consistently, I mean, unless you're a special kind of masochist, that's not a practice that you're going to want to, or have like the mental image and association with, to want to continue to do every single day. The goal here is, by the end of this practice, each time you're doing it, you should be invigorated by it, in love with it, wanting to do more of it. It's if it's creating like this stress, or like, I need to push myself harder and faster. It's funny.
And so it's a series of how many at a time before your long breath?
Once again, the basic starting point. So we do 3 rounds of 30. So we'll do 3 rounds of 30 breaths. You know, as you get more advanced, because you do a lot of yoga, and you've been working with energy, and you know, it's easy to move forward. It's like, you know, we just did about 40 breaths in that second round, and I did that conscientiously because I knew that would be good. And that, you know, I wouldn't necessarily do that with most people, or with someone I didn't know. If I, you know, when I'm teaching it to someone that's not someone that I know already, I would be more, we'll just do 30 breaths. Just keep it simple. Really, the brilliance in this is its simplicity.
Yeah, it's very simple.
It's simple, and yet it's quite possibly the single most profound practice that exists for like this direct physiological empowerment of human beings.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if we're breathing,
it all comes back to the breath. It's completely free. You know, you don't have to go. You don't have to get a gym membership to do this.
It does everything for our body, getting it moving,
and it strengthens the body even without doing necessarily. You know, it's like when WHM teaches this, the basic skills. It's like first he teaches the rounds of breath. Then after the breath, they do basic yoga. You know, like these kinds of stretches, but then utilize the breath. So you take an inhale, and as you exhale, you feel yourself relaxing deeper into the stretch. Inhale. You know, and it just, after doing 3 rounds of the breath retentions, this helps people to understand how the breath works in yoga in ways that most yoga instructors have never grasped. So as a yoga instructor, the Wim Hof method is the most effective way that I've ever found to teach pranayama, to teach the breath work, because I can more easily get people into a visceral state of experiencing how the breath allows them to go deeper into any given stretch. A really neat thing that Wim gets into after a few weeks of doing this breath is you'll do a round of push-ups before you even start breathing. You just do 1 round of push-ups. You see how many you can do before you collapse. Then you do 3 rounds of breath, and you do a 4th round. And in the 4th round, at first, you don't hold the inhale. You don't hold the exhale. You just hold that inhale at the end, and then holding the inhale, you see how many push-ups you can do. Most people can do more push-ups while holding their breath than they could normally beforehand.
Can we just take 1 second? I need to turn the oven off.
That's great. Yeah, we're good.
I would love to do the third round.
Well, I think we should do 3 rounds actually again.
Okay,
For
well
real.
then